Hey guys, welcome back to another video. For today's video, we're going to be reviewing some concepts so that you can find your ideal tweezer. My name is Monica. I am one of the founders of Nana and Mona and also your English version instructor, and I hope you enjoy this video.
Anywhere you go, you belong. Anywhere you say, anywhere.
Si te gustaría ver esta misma información pero versión en español, puedes revisar el canal de mi amiga Adriana que va a estar acá arribita. If you'd like to purchase tools and materials, don't forget to visit www.nanamonabeauty.com. When you are talking about eyelash extensions tweezers, two concepts that are very important should be always kept in mind. Number one, precision, and number two, maneuverability. When we refer to precision or grip, we are basically talking about the tweezer's capability to closing in or holding the eyelash extension. In the market, we find various thicknesses. You can go all the way from 0.03 for handmade volume fans, all the way up to 0.25. For all of these thicknesses, you need to have a tweezer that is capable of holding these eyelash extensions without breaking them or damaging them. When we refer to maneuverability, we are talking about the fact of how we are moving our hands when we are grabbing the tweezer. This can be how you hold your hand or how you move your hand whenever you have a pencil or when you have a tweezer, the inclination, the angle, all of this basically is maneuverability. This is why when we're referring to finding your perfect tweezers, we can't really give you a list and say, go buy this, go buy that, because everyone has different preferences. And not everybody works the same with all tweezers. In the past, we didn't even have as much variety as we do right now. Before, most of the tweezers used to be very thick, they used to be very straight. Also, we might have found curved tips, but they weren't as varied as what we have now. Currently, we can find different types of tweezers that have textures, materials, colors, sizes, angles, curvatures, inclinations. There's a whole world of tweezers now. In a way, it could be very overwhelming for those who are just starting because there's such a world of tweezers, you don't know where to start. Today, we are going to give you a couple of factors or concepts that you can take into account when looking for the ideal tweezer, and hopefully make this process much easier. The first concept is material type. One of the first things that we have to do when looking for the ideal tweezer is understanding and knowing what type of material your tweezer is made from. In today's market, we can find tweezers made from aluminum, stainless steel, surgical steel, medical grade steel, which is the most optimal when we are doing eyelash extensions. And we even find bamboo tweezers, which are a little more disposable. The material from which your tweezers or your products are made from can vary from different suppliers. Like, did you even know that there was porcelain interchangeable tips? I had no idea. The importance of these materials is mostly to assure that your eyelash extension tweezers are for professional use. The reason why we need to understand exactly what our tweezers are made from is because we need to make sure that we are reducing the risk of corrosion when we are submerging them into different materials for sterilization or putting them into high temperatures, as we do in acetone, barbicide, or also in the ultraviolet disinfecting light. The second concept is tension. The second concept is tension, which is basically the force that we have to do when closing the tweezer. We have different ways of testing the tension. One of them is just holding the base of your tweezer and pressing down onto the tweezer. The harder it gets, or the more you struggle when you are pressing down on the tweezer, this means that the tweezer has way more tension. You will find that for every tweezer, there is going to be a different tension. Why is this tension important though? Let's say that you have a full day of clients. All of them are back to back. Now, you're using these tweezers and these tweezers have a lot of tension. After these repetitive movements and hours of using these tweezers, you will find that because this tweezer had a lot of tension, your hands are now tired. And if we go onto the more exaggerated side, but that can also happen, we can find that there are such things as inflammatory or degenerative diseases that can happen on our wrist area or our hand area, such as carpal tunnel or any other muscle spasms. All of this due to us forcing our hands too much, which is going back from not choosing your tweezers correctly. Same thing goes for when you're creating handmade volume fans. Let's say that you're using one of the tweezers which are precise. For the handmade volume, we're going to have to pick up a couple of eyelash extensions and pinch them while holding this precisely. Again, if you have a tension that is too high on the tweezers, you're going to find yourself struggling into creating handmade volume fans because this is a repetitive movement. The third concept is weight. So as everything, there are different varieties in the market regarding the weight. And here's a couple of things some of you might have not known. Tweezers that we find, such as these that have a rainbow coloring, can sometimes appear to be heavier or more tense than the original colored tweezers. Although this isn't much because it's more of a coating to the tweezer, it still adds a little more tension and also weight. When we look at these type of tweezers that have a little more of a painted or an actual covered coat, these you will find that are very, very heavy and very, very tense. Not only are these tweezers already heavy as is, but they also do not withstand the materials in which we have to submerge them, meaning that if we put these into one of these sterilization methods, such as acetone or barbicide, this color is going to come off, or in some cases, it makes the tweezer feel very, very sticky. And when dry, it's also going to be hard and tense. Fourth concept is the direction and also the angle of the tweezer. Now for the fourth concept, we're basically talking about how we hold our pencil or our tweezer. To give you some examples, it is not the same how we would hold a tweezer like this for volumes as we would a tweezer like this one, or as we would a tweezer like this one. When we are placing or isolating, we are holding our tweezer a certain way than what we would be holding this one. The direction and the angle not only are referring to how we are holding them this way, but when we are working with tweezers that are a little shorter, it's also where we are placing our fingers on the tweezer. Is it the middle, the bottom, or the top? So summarizing this concept, we need to make sure that we find tweezers that are an adequate size and also an adequate angle for our liking. Now that we have these concepts in mind, let's move on to caring for our tweezers. What we're referring to here is that even if we're using them or with the passage of time, we're making sure that our tweezers do not lose their grip, their tip, or their precision. The number one or the biggest tip that we need to do is making sure that our tweezers do not fall. We must avoid at all costs that our tweezers fall, especially tip forward, because if we are dropping these tweezers tip first, the tip is very thin, it's very fragile, and when they fall, we're going to cause them to bend, they're going to twist, they're going to get all deformed, and basically you won't be able to use them anymore. And let's be real, whenever we see those tweezers fall, Lord Jesus, keeping your tweezers in a specific place is not only going to protect the tips and make sure that they are not bending, but it can also help you be more organized with your materials. I have seen a number of people who are genius enough to understand how to calibrate a tweezer. They usually use files, or they use tension grippers, or they use other methods to make sure that their tweezers are always working perfectly. This is a good alternative for a short-term solution because unfortunately, with the pass of time, all of these filing downs or all of these moving or modifications are eventually going to wear out the tweezers and also wear out the tip, which is not going to let us have a lot of precision. As I mentioned, there's other things that people do, like putting cardboard in this area or putting another tweezer in this area, bending them, or just trying to modify the tweezers or the tension. But as I mentioned, this is going to mess with the tip of the tweezer and it's not going to have as much precision as you did in the beginning. The next suggestion sounds kind of mean, but do not borrow your tweezers. If you have favorite tweezers, you already know how they feel, you already know how to work with them, you know the tension and they feel so nice. We basically give our tweezers our personal imprint. When we borrow them, however, the next person might make some modifications, or in the worst case scenario, they might even throw your tweezers on the floor and that will damage your favorite pair of tweezers. So just make sure to abstain from borrowing any of your tweezers and just keep them in one place. Another suggestion is to have the correct sterilization and hygiene with your tweezers, but this is going to be topic for our next video. As always, it was a pleasure being with you. I'm really curious to know how your first experience was with buying tweezers. Which are your favorite tweezers? What are some tricks or tips that you have learned along the way? Leave all of these comments down below. I really love hearing from you, and I also love responding to each and every one of you personally. Don't forget that we are on Instagram TV. This way you can see our full videos every single Monday at 8 p.m. Central Time. And be sure to follow us at nanamona_beauty. Alright guys, that's it for today. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!